Welcome folks, I'm Nick, I'm based in the UK and this is my second YouTube video, so please bear with me whilst I get my act together. The purpose of this video is to explain why I chose this bike, the Honda CB500X 2022 model, for my upcoming trip around Europe. It's going to be around 12,000 miles, 20,000 kilometers, starting soon, this spring and summer. So no further ado, I'll jump on the bike and explain more as we go along. Mix of roads. I'll be trying to avoid highways, major routes, so doing some what I might call off-road light and trails where possible. The trip itself is going to be split into two parts. I have a commitment back in the UK in July, so I need to split it in two. The first part is travelling south, where my intention at the moment is to try and get down through Poland, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria into Greece, spend some time in Greece and then back up through the likes of Croatia, Italy and Switzerland and back to the UK in time for my commitment. And then after that, part two will be travelling north, so up through Denmark, Sweden, Norway, up to Nordkap, back down through Finland, Estonia, etc. and home again. I will be camping and travelling solo, so the trip is my own trip, and for me it's more about the journey than the destination, so I've got nowhere particularly in mind at the moment, so I can be flexible about where I actually end up, but that's sort of like the high level thoughts of where I'm going, how I'm going to get there. So as I say, camping where possible, hosteling if I can't find a campsite, and a hotel if I can't find either of those. To prepare for the trip, I created a mind map which I introduced in my previous video, and in a mind map you start off with a central idea that you want to explore further. In my case it's Big Trip, so I put Big Trip down on a big blank piece of paper, and then as I thought of things I needed to consider for my trip, they just branched out, and as I thought more they branched out further. So ended up with a mind map which had topics such as duration and accommodation, emergencies, and of course included motorcycle. And as I say, the purpose of this video is really about the motorcycle and choice of motorcycle. First thing I needed to consider was the type of motorcycle. I'm going to be doing some off-roading, and therefore it couldn't be a typical sports bike, street bike, whatever, based on the terrain. Distance wise I needed something big enough to get me comfortably around sort of 12,000 miles, 20,000 kilometres, but not necessarily too big. And so that was it sort of on type, so that's sort of leaning towards the adventure bike, dual sport perhaps. Next thing I thought about was brand and reliability. With regards to brand, I needed something which has got a reputation for being reliable, that you can get spares easily, and should be repairable easily. I know I'm going in Europe, so things are pretty well covered here, but there's always chance that I'll end up somewhere a little bit remote, so I don't want anything too exotic. And the next aspect I needed to consider was capacity. Not just engine capacity, but things like fuel capacity, luggage capacity, how much room there is for a rider. So engine capacity wise, I didn't need anything too big, because, as I say, it's about the journey. It's not the destination. I'm not getting anywhere any particular speed, so I just want to be able to take my time, so I didn't need anything too big. Fuel wise, it'd be good to have something economical and with a reasonable sized tank, so I don't have to top up too often. And then physical size, didn't want anything too heavy, too big. I'm 6 foot, about 12 stone, 75 kilos, and I needed something big enough for me, but only me, because I'm travelling solo. Didn't need room for a passenger, but I do need room for camping gear, etc. And then the most important aspect was, okay, so that's what I've determined, the type of bike, capacity, and brand I need. Is my current bike capable of doing all that and delivering me the journey that I want? Or should I modify my trip to accommodate the bike? Well, I'd set my heart on a long trip, no pace, and with some off-roading. So my current bike was a Honda CB500X, which is a sports tourer of its day. And I soon realised that sports tourer in its day isn't ideal for any off-roading. And the other bike I had was a Triumph Street Triple, fabulous bike, great on the twisties, super on the road, lovely around the Picos de Europa in northern Spain. Again, no off-road capabilities, and I have been camping on that bike, but it was a real squeeze. So I had to come to a decision, which is again one of the branches on the mind map, as to what am I going to do then. And my choice is the Honda CB500X. I'll explain why. I needed a bike that I could go off-road, not too fast, and budget was also a constraint. Looked at things like the BMW GS's. Budget-wise, they're just too expensive, more capability than mine have, or could use sensibly. Started looking at the middleweights, and they were around the Tenere 700. Again, fantastic reputation, but budget-wise, too much, and capability-wise, really good off-road and road, but more than I would need and could justify spending that money on. So I looked further down the food chain, if you like. Was considering things like the Royal Enfield Himalayan, 400cc, about 25 horsepower or thereabouts. Fabulous reputation for off-road. And also the Honda CRF300L and Rally. Good reputations off-road, Honda reliability, etc. But last year I had a few days away off-roading where I got to try both bikes, and the Royal Enfield was great off-road, a little bit heavy, cumbersome in places, but you know, pretty good, especially with my lack of capability. But when it was on the road, you really had to wring its neck to get anything out of it, and then at 60 mile an hour, 100 kilometers an hour, it was just stressing the engine too much. Similar for the CRF300L, fabulous off-road, really light, but on the road it was just a bit too light for my liking. and again really had to stress it to get speeds much above 70 mile an hour. So I dismissed those two bikes, but I was also looking at the Honda CB500X. Not a true off-road bike, a sort of adventure style, but it was getting some sort of fairly good press, but it did have weaknesses around the suspension and a couple of other bits and pieces. But then Honda announced and released the CB500X 2022 model, where they've improved on the suspension and also added another brake on the front. Apparently sorted out some fueling issues as well, but all in all it sounded a promising alternative. And when I consider the main aspects around the choice of motorcycle, the type, in case I'm going to be doing avoiding motorways, I'll be doing some off-roading, then it ticked that box. Brand, reliability, all my Hondas have been really reliable in the past, so it ticked that box. Capacity, yeah, it's big enough for me. It will take a tent, all my camping gear, my luggage and me fairly comfortably. I'm still running the engine in, haven't really gone too far on it yet, but it seems great for what I want. And then decision wise was okay, so do I want one? And the answer was yes. So I traded in my Honda CB500 and picked this one up a couple of weeks ago, and I'm very pleased with it so far. So anyway, hope you found something of interest in this video. I hope I've bought the right bike, and I think time will tell on that front. But I'm starting my trip in a few weeks, and I'm going to do a couple of test runs first, just in the UK, make sure that I don't have any major issues with either my camping gear, bike or anything else, and hopefully I'll keep you informed. Anyway, I'll leave you to it. Many thanks for your time, and hopefully see you on the next one. Bye for now.